I was 7 months pregnant when my husband handed me a pen and smiled. He said, "Sign here, baby. I'll take care of everything." I was so tired, so sick, so desperate just to lay down and rest. My feet were swollen. My back was killing me. I hadn't slept through the night in weeks. So I signed. I signed away my house. I signed away my savings. I signed away my retirement. I signed away my entire life. And when I finished, Vincent kissed my forehead, rubbed my belly, and whispered, "Good girl. Now rest." I thought he was protecting me, protecting us, protecting our baby girl growing inside me. I was so wrong. He wasn't protecting me. He was burying me in $2.8 million of debt while he kept every single asset we ever had. But here's what my husband didn't know about his tired, pregnant, helpless little wife. I'm a certified public accountant. I graduated top of my class. I worked corporate finance for 6 years before he convinced me to quit. And I photographed every single document before I signed it. Every single one. He thought he married a victim, someone he could manipulate and throw away when he was done. No baby. He married his worst nightmare. This is the story of how I took back everything he stole from me, how I exposed his lies, how I found out about his first wife, how I discovered the $2 million life insurance policy he took out on me while I was having pregnancy complications, and how I left him with nothing but the prison cell he's sitting in right now. If you've ever been lied to by someone you loved, if you've ever felt trapped, if you've ever had someone try to take everything from you because they thought you were weak, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button right now, like this video, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Tell me if you've ever had someone underestimate you, because by the end of this story, you're going to see exactly what happens when they do. Now let me take you back to where it all started. Let me show you how I fell into his trap. And more importantly, let me show you how I clawed my way out. 6 years ago, I was a completely different woman. I was 28 years old, working as a senior accountant at one of the biggest firms in Chicago. I had just gotten my CPA license. I was making good money. I had my own apartment, my own car, my own life. I was the girl my grandmother raised me to be. Independent, smart, capable. My grandmother. God rest her soul, she raised me after my parents split up. She always told me the same thing. Destiny, she'd say, a man should add to your life, not subtract from it. Always keep your own. Always know where your money is. And never ever sign something you haven't read. I wish I had listened to her. I met Vincent at a corporate networking event downtown. I was there representing my firm. He was there doing what he did best, hunting. I just didn't know I was the prey. He walked up to me at the bar, tall, handsome, designer suit, perfect smile, the kind of man who looks like he belongs on a magazine cover. He said my name before I even introduced myself. "You must be Destiny Brooks. I've heard impressive things about you." I was flattered. How did he know my name? How did he know anything about me? Turns out he'd done his research. He knew I was a CPA, knew I had excellent credit, knew I was single, knew I was exactly what he was looking for. But I didn't see that then. All I saw was a charming man who seemed genuinely interested in me. Not my body, not my looks. Me. He asked questions about my work, my goals, my dreams. He listened like every word I said mattered. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. By the end of the night, he had my number. By the end of the week, we were on our first date. By the end of the month, I thought I was falling in love. The courtship was like something out of a movie. Expensive dinners, weekend trips, flowers delivered to my office. He opened every door, pulled out every chair, said all the right things at all the right times. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags. They were everywhere. On our second date, he asked about my credit score. He laughed and said he was just being practical, planning our future together. I thought it was cute, responsible even. On our third date, he asked about my family's financial situation. Was there any inheritance coming? Any property. I told him about my grandmother's house, the one she left me in her will, the one worth $80,000. His eyes lit up, but I didn't notice. By month 3, he suggested we check our credit reports together. Build our future on solid ground, he said. I showed him everything: my perfect 760 credit score, my savings account, my retirement fund. My complete financial life laid out on his laptop screen. He was taking inventory, and I was too blind to see it. He introduced me to his mother early, Patricia Brooks. She looked me up and down like I was a car she was considering buying. But she smiled and said the right things. "She's perfect for you, Vincent. Don't let this one get away." I thought I had passed some test. I thought his family approved of me. I didn't know I was being assessed, evaluated, acquired. The proposal came exactly 1 year after we met. Grand gesture at a rooftop restaurant, the whole place watching, a ring so big it almost blinded me. He got down on one knee and said, "Marry me, Destiny. Let me take care of you. Let me give you everything you deserve." I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called my grandmother's sister, Aunt Ruby, crying happy tears. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Baby, I'm happy if you're happy. But your grandmother always said trust, but verify, even with the ones you love, especially with the ones you love." I laughed it off. Aunt Ruby was old-fashioned. She didn't understand modern love, but she understood something I didn't. She understood that love can be a weapon, and the people who wield it best are the ones who never really feel it at all. I married Vincent Brooks 4 months later, the happiest day of my life, the first day of my nightmare. The changes started small. So small, I didn't even notice them at first. About 2 months after the wedding, Vincent came home with this concerned look on his face. He sat me down and held my hands like he was about to deliver bad news. "Baby," he said, "I've been thinking. You work so hard. 12-hour days, weekends sometimes. Stress isn't good for you, isn't good for us." I told him I loved my job. I'd worked years to get where I was. He nodded like he understood. But then he said something that stuck with me. "Don't you trust me to take care of you? I make enough for both of us. More than enough. You don't have to work anymore, Destiny. Let me give you the life you deserve." I said no at first. My career meant everything to me. My independence meant everything to me. But he kept pushing, not aggressively, never aggressively, just gently, consistently, like water wearing down a stone. He'd come home and find me exhausted from work. He'd rub my shoulders and whisper, "You don't have to do this anymore." He'd point out how much we were missing each other, how we never had time together, how our marriage was suffering. 6 months after the wedding, I quit my job. I told myself it was temporary, a break. I'd go back once we settled into married life. I never went back. Once I was home full-time, the isolation started. It was subtle at first. Comments about my friends that made me question them. "Monica called today while you were out. She asked a lot of questions about our finances. Don't you think that's strange? Monica was my college roommate, my best friend. She was just being a good friend, making sure I was okay. But Vincent made it seem suspicious, made it seem like she was jealous, trying to undermine our marriage. And your Aunt Ruby," he said one night, "she looks at me like I'm a criminal. I don't think she wants us to be happy. Aunt Ruby had been there for me my whole life. She just wanted to protect me." But I started seeing them through Vincent's eyes, started pulling away, stopped returning calls, stopped making plans. One by one, the people who loved me disappeared from my life. Then came the move. Vincent found us a house. Beautiful. 4 bedrooms, big backyard. Perfect for a family, he said. It was also 45 minutes from everyone I knew. Far from Monica. Far from Aunt Ruby. Far from anyone who might notice what was happening to me. I put the down payment on that house. $80,000 from my grandmother's inheritance. The money she left me so I'd always have something of my own. But the deed was in my name. That was the one thing I insisted on. The one piece of my grandmother's advice I actually followed. Vincent didn't argue. He just smiled and said, "Of course, baby. Whatever makes you comfortable." I didn't know why he didn't fight me on it. Not until much later. Not until I realized he had other plans. Plans that would take everything from me anyway, deed or no deed. With me home and isolated, the financial control came next. He suggested we combine our accounts. One joint account, he said. "We're married now. What's mine is yours." But somehow what was mine became his. He took over paying the bills, took over managing our investments, took over everything financial while I handled the house. I was a CPA. I had managed million-dollar accounts for corporations. But suddenly I couldn't be trusted to manage my own household budget. Every purchase went through him. Every decision needed his approval. He gave me an allowance like I was a child. If I questioned it, he'd get this hurt look on his face. "Don't you trust me? After everything I do for us." The guilt worked every time. Within a year of marriage, I had no job, no friends, no family nearby, no financial independence, and no idea how bad things were about to get. And then his mother moved in. Patricia Brooks showed up with 2 suitcases and a permanent frown. "Just for a few months," Vincent said. "She's lonely since Dad passed. She needs family around her. That was 3 years ago. She never left." Patricia made it clear from day one that I was beneath her son. My cooking wasn't good enough. My cleaning wasn't thorough enough. My background wasn't prestigious enough. She'd make comments at dinner about Vincent's first wife, about what a shame that marriage was, about how that woman almost ruined him. I didn't even know Vincent had been married before. He never told me. When I asked him about it, he got quiet, said it was painful to talk about, said she went crazy, tried to take everything, said he barely escaped with his life. I felt sorry for him, held him while he pretended to be vulnerable, promised I would never hurt him like that. I was comforting my own executioner. His mother watched me constantly, reported everything to Vincent. If I went out, she wanted to know where. If I called someone, she wanted to know who. If I seemed unhappy, she told Vincent I was being ungrateful. I was a prisoner in my own home. I just didn't have the bars to prove it. And then I got pregnant. I was 33 years old, 3 years into this marriage, completely isolated and controlled. And suddenly, I was going to be a mother. I thought the baby would change things, thought it would bring us closer, thought Vincent would soften. I was wrong again. The pregnancy was the final piece of his plan, the thing he'd been waiting for, the ultimate weapon to use against me. Because a pregnant woman is vulnerable. A pregnant woman is tired. A pregnant woman is desperate to avoid stress. A pregnant woman will sign anything just to make it stop. And that's exactly what he was counting on. The first signing happened when I was 10 weeks pregnant. I was in the bathroom for the 4th time that morning, head over the toilet, barely able to keep water down. Morning sickness doesn't describe what I went through. It was all-day sickness, all-night sickness, constant, relentless, debilitating nausea. Vincent came into the bathroom with papers in his hand. He didn't ask if I was okay, didn't offer to hold my hair, just stood there waiting for me to finish. "Baby, I need you to sign something real quick. Good news. I found a way to refinance the house. Better interest rate. It'll save us money for the baby." I was still on the floor, still weak, still feeling like I might throw up again any second. "Can it wait?" I asked. He gave me that look, the one that said I was being difficult, the one that made me feel guilty for having needs. "The deadline is today. I've been working on this for weeks, for us, for our family." I didn't have the strength to argue. I just wanted him to leave so I could be sick in peace. He handed me a pen, showed me where to sign, flipped the pages, sign here, initial here, sign here. I signed. I didn't read. I couldn't focus on anything except not vomiting on the paperwork. When I finished, he kissed my cheek and left. I didn't know what I had just done. I didn't know that my name had just been removed from the deed of my own house, the house I put the down payment on, the house my grandmother's money paid for. In one signature, while I was too sick to see straight, Vincent made himself the sole owner of my property. The second signing came during my 2nd trimester. I was feeling better by then. The nausea had passed. I had energy again. I even started questioning things. "Vincent," I said one evening, "I want to look at our finances. I haven't seen a statement in months. I used to manage accounts for a living. I should at least know where we stand." He got this patronizing smile on his face, the one he used when he thought I was being silly. "Baby, you have enough to worry about. Growing our child, keeping yourself healthy. The doctor said stress is bad for the pregnancy. Let me handle the business side." But I pushed. "Just a little. I want to see the accounts. It's my money, too." His face changed then. Just for a second. Something cold flashed in his eyes, something that scared me. Then he recovered, softened his voice, reached out and touched my belly. "You're right," he said. I've been protective, maybe too protective. Tell you what, let me put together a summary for you, something easy to understand, and I'll explain everything. He came back 2 days later with a folder. Inside were documents he called estate planning paperwork. This protects us, he said. If anything happens to me, you and the baby are taken care of. If anyone sues my business, they can't touch our personal assets. It's basic protection. He pointed to where I needed to sign. I hesitated. My CPA brain was flickering. Something felt wrong. The documents were dense, full of legal language. I couldn't process it all. I should have a lawyer look at this, I said. He looked hurt, actually wounded. A lawyer. You need a lawyer to protect yourself from your own husband. Destiny, do you understand how that makes me feel? The guilt rushed in. I was being paranoid. He was my husband, the father of my child. He would never hurt me. I'm sorry, I said. I trust you. I signed everything. Power of attorney, trust documents, asset transfers, all of it. I didn't know I had just given him legal control over everything I owned. I didn't know I had just signed away my retirement accounts. I didn't know I had just made myself financially powerless. But Vincent knew. He'd been planning this for years. The third signing was the worst, the one that almost destroyed me. I was 7 months pregnant. My doctor had just put me on partial bed rest. My blood pressure was too high. I was at risk for preeclampsia. The baby could come early if I didn't rest. I was terrified. All I could think about was my daughter, keeping her safe, keeping her inside me until she was ready. I was lying in bed that afternoon when Vincent came in with another stack of papers. This time the stack was thick. "I know you're tired," he said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "But this is important. Business refinancing. The bank needs your signature as co-owner." I could barely keep my eyes open. The medication they had me on made me drowsy. My thoughts were fuzzy. "What is it?" I asked. He started explaining something about loans and collateral and business structures. I couldn't follow any of it. The words just washed over me. "Just show me where to sign," I said. He smiled, that smile that I used to love. The one I now know was the smile of a predator. He guided my hand. Page after page, sign here, initial there, one more, almost done. I didn't read a single word. I couldn't. I was exhausted. I was scared for my baby. I was completely at his mercy. When I finished, he gathered the papers, kissed my forehead, and said those words I'll never forget. "Good girl. Now rest." I closed my eyes, felt the baby kick inside me, told myself everything was okay. My husband was handling things. I could trust him. I fell asleep not knowing I had just signed a personal guarantee on $2,300,000 in business loans, not knowing that every debt was now in my name, not knowing that I was now legally responsible for money I had never seen spent or agreed to borrow. Vincent walked out of that room with everything he needed. He had the house. He had the assets. He had my power of attorney, and I had all the debt. His plan was almost complete. All he had to do now was wait for the baby to be born, file for divorce, and walk away clean. He would keep the millions. I would keep the debt. And his mistress would move into my house before the ink on the divorce papers was dry. It was perfect, foolproof, the kind of scheme only a true predator could execute. Except for one thing. Vincent made one mistake. He forgot what I used to be. Forgot that before I was his pregnant, helpless wife, I was a certified public accountant. Forgot that accountants are trained to keep records, trained to document everything, trained to always have a paper trail. And I did. Every single document he made me sign, I photographed first. I kept them in a secret email account he didn't know about. I had copies of everything. I just didn't know how important those copies were going to be until the night everything changed. It was a Thursday night. I remember because Thursdays were when Vincent usually worked late. Except lately, he'd been working late almost every night. I was in bed trying to sleep. The doctor said rest was the most important thing I could do for the baby. But sleep never came easy anymore. My mind wouldn't stop racing. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on what. Around 11, I heard Vincent's car pull into the garage. I kept my eyes closed, pretending to be asleep. I'd learned it was easier that way. Less questions, less tension. He came upstairs, but he didn't come to the bedroom. Instead, I heard him go into his office down the hall. The door closed. Normally, I would have just gone to sleep. Normally, I would have told myself it was work, told myself not to be paranoid. But that night, something made me get up. Call it intuition, call it God, call it my grandmother's spirit looking out for me. I walked down the hall as quietly as I could. My swollen feet made soft sounds on the hardwood floor. I held my belly with one hand, steadying myself. His office door was closed, but not all the way. There was a crack, and voices. Vincent was on the phone, and he was laughing. I pressed myself against the wall and listened. "Everything's in place," he said. "She signed it all, every single document. She didn't read any of it, just signed wherever I pointed." My heart stopped. "After the baby comes, I file for divorce. She gets all the debt, I keep all the assets. It's foolproof. My lawyer already drew up the papers." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. My hand pressed against my belly as if I could protect my baby from what I was hearing. Then he said something that made my blood turn to ice. Yes, just like before. Elena was harder, though. She almost figured it out. This one's easier. Destiny's too pregnant to think straight, too tired to question anything. She actually thanked me for handling the finances. Elena. The name hit me like the truck. His first wife, the one who went crazy, the one who tried to take everything, the one he barely escaped from. It was all lies. Elena hadn't tried to take anything. Elena had been the victim, just like me. And I was next. Vincent kept talking, but his voice seemed far away now, like I was underwater. "The life insurance policy is active. $2 million. If something happens during childbirth, that's even better. But either way, I win. Divorce or death, I get everything. Life insurance, $2 million. On me. During a high-risk pregnancy. I understood then. I understood everything. This wasn't just financial abuse. This wasn't just a scheme to steal my money. My husband was prepared for me to die, might even be hoping for it. Had taken out a policy just in case. The father of my child saw me as nothing more than a liability, something to be eliminated, financially if possible, permanently if convenient. I don't know how I made it back to the bedroom, don't know how I got into bed without collapsing. I was shaking so hard I thought I might wake him when he finally came in. But he didn't notice. He never noticed me. I was invisible to him, just a signature on a document, just a stepping stone to what he really wanted. He climbed into bed, rolled over with his back to me, and fell asleep within minutes, like he hadn't just been discussing how to destroy my life, like he hadn't just mentioned that my death would be convenient for him. I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, tears streaming down my face, hand on my belly. My baby kicked, strong and steady, like she was telling me to fight. I thought about running, just getting in the car and driving away. But where would I go? I had no money, no job, no one who would believe me over him. I thought about calling the police, but what would I tell them? My husband made me sign papers. That's not illegal. I signed them willingly, even if I didn't understand what they were. I thought about confronting him, demanding answers. But I knew how that would go. He would gaslight me, tell me I misheard, tell me I was being hormonal. By morning, he'd have me apologizing for ever doubting him. So I lay there, and I thought. And somewhere in those dark hours, the accountant in me woke up. Vincent thought pregnancy had made me weak, thought isolation had made me helpless, thought love had made me stupid. He was wrong about all of it. I wasn't weak. I was watching. I wasn't helpless. I was waiting. I wasn't stupid. I had been documenting everything. Every document I signed, I photographed first. An old habit from my CPA days. Cover yourself. Always have copies. Never trust anyone else with your records. I had those photos in a secret email account, an old account from college that Vincent didn't know about. I had evidence. I just needed to understand what that evidence showed. And I needed help. Help from people Vincent hadn't managed to chase away completely. I waited until morning, made Vincent his coffee like everything was normal, kissed him goodbye like my heart wasn't shattered, smiled like I hadn't heard him planning my destruction. But inside, something had changed. The woman who said yes to everything was gone. The woman who trusted blindly was dead. The woman who gave up her power was finished. In her place was something new, something harder, something that Vincent had never seen and would never see coming. The mother, the fighter, the CPA who keeps receipts. I didn't know exactly how I was going to save myself and my baby. Didn't know exactly how I was going to expose him for what he was. Didn't know exactly how I was going to take back everything he stole. But I knew one thing for certain. He thought he was burying me with those documents. I was going to use those same documents to bury him, and I was going to enjoy every single second of it. He gave me no choice. He left me no options. He backed a pregnant woman into a corner and thought she would just accept her fate. He was so very wrong. Some women crumble when they discover betrayal. I'm not some women. I'm Destiny Brooks, and I was just getting started. The next morning, I made Vincent his coffee, scrambled his eggs exactly how he liked them, kissed him goodbye at the door with a smile on my face. He had no idea. He looked at me the same way he always did, like I was furniture, like I was just another item in his house that served a purpose. He didn't see the fire burning behind my eyes, didn't see the woman who had stayed up half the night planning. As soon as his car pulled out of the driveway, I went to work. His mother was still asleep. She never woke up before 10. That gave me a few hours. I went to the guest room closet, where I kept an old laptop. A laptop Vincent didn't know about. I'd bought it years ago before we were married, and never got rid of it. Something told me to keep it. Something told me I might need it one day. That day had come. I powered it on and logged into my secret email account, the one from college that I'd kept all these years, the one Monica and I used to share notes and gossip, the one Vincent had no idea existed. And there they were. Every document I'd ever signed during this marriage, photographed and saved, dates, pages, signatures, all of it. My hands were shaking as I started opening the files, started really reading what I had signed. The first document was the house refinancing from my first trimester, the one I signed while I was throwing up. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't imagining things. The refinancing had removed my name from the deed entirely. The house I put $80,000 into. The house bought with my grandmother's inheritance. It now belonged solely to Vincent Brooks. My name wasn't anywhere on it. I felt sick. But I kept reading. The second set of documents was the estate planning paperwork from my second trimester, the power of attorney, the trust documents. I had given Vincent full power of attorney over all my financial affairs. He could make decisions about my money, my accounts, my assets without my permission or knowledge. Legally, I had handed him the keys to my entire financial life. The trust documents were even worse. My retirement accounts, the ones I had built over 6 years of working, had been transferred into a trust controlled entirely by Vincent. I was listed as a beneficiary, but I had no access, no control, no rights. He owned my retirement. Then came the documents from last month, the ones I signed while on bed rest, the ones I could barely see through the medication fog. Personal guarantee on business loans totaling $2,300,000. I had to read that number 5 times. $2.3 million in debt, in my name. I had personally guaranteed loans for businesses I knew nothing about, businesses that were probably shells, businesses designed to funnel money to Vincent while leaving me responsible for the debt. If those businesses failed, and I was certain they would, the banks would come after me. Not Vincent. Me. My credit, my wages, my future. I sat back and did what any accountant would do. I made a list. Assets in Vincent's name. The house worth approximately $450,000. 2 cars titled to his LLC. Investment accounts I couldn't access. Business holdings I couldn't see. Estimated total somewhere around $4 to $5 million. Debt in my name. $2.3 million in business loan guarantees. Credit cards in my name that he controlled, a mortgage I was still technically responsible for, even though my name was off the deed, what I would get in a divorce, all of the debt, what he would keep all of the assets. He had spent 4 years setting this up, Every romantic gesture, every sweet word, every time he said, "Let me take care of you." It was all part of the plan. I was never his wife, I was his mark. I closed my eyes and put my hand on my belly. My daughter kicked, strong and insistent, like she was telling me to keep going. So I did. I started searching for Elena. Elena Vasquez, Vincent's first wife, the one who went crazy, the one who tried to take everything. I needed to know what really happened to her. The search wasn't easy. Vincent had scrubbed most traces of her from the internet. But court records are public. Divorce filings are public. And I knew how to dig. I found the divorce filing from 6 years ago, Elena Vasquez versus Vincent Brooks. She hadn't contested anything, walked away with nothing. No alimony, no asset division, nothing. That didn't make sense. In a normal divorce, especially one where there were assets, there's always negotiation. Always fighting over who gets what. But Elena just gave up everything and disappeared. Unless she wasn't giving up. Unless she was running. I found an old news article from a local paper, a small mention of Elena in a domestic violence awareness piece. Her name wasn't used, but the details matched. A woman who fled an abusive marriage. A woman whose husband had manipulated her financially. A woman who had to start over with nothing because staying meant something worse. My blood ran cold. Vincent hadn't just stolen from Elena, he had terrorized her, broken her so completely that she was willing to give up everything just to get away from him. And now he was doing the same thing to me. But there was one difference. Elena didn't have documentation. Elena didn't have copies of everything she signed. Elena didn't have a secret email account with years of evidence. I did. And I was going to use every single piece of it. I kept searching, kept digging, found something that made my heart stop. A property record, an apartment lease, downtown Chicago, luxury building, tenants Vincent Brooks and Vanessa Cole, lease start date next month. Vanessa Cole. I knew that name. She was Vincent's assistant, the one who called at odd hours, the one he said was just dedicated to her job. She wasn't dedicated to her job. She was sleeping with my husband, and they were planning to move in together, into a luxury apartment, while I was still pregnant with his child. The pieces fell into place. Vincent wasn't just planning to divorce me, he was planning to replace me, to move his mistress into a nice apartment while I drowned in debt, while I struggled to survive as a single mother with destroyed credit and no resources. He had probably promised Vanessa everything, the same way he had promised me everything, the same way he had probably promised Elena everything. Vanessa was next in line. She just didn't know it yet, but I couldn't worry about her. I had to worry about me, about my baby. I had the evidence, I had the documentation, but I needed help understanding exactly how bad things were. I needed someone who could look at all of this with professional eyes, someone who could tell me what I was really dealing with. I needed Monica, my college roommate, my best friend, the one Vincent had convinced me was jealous and negative, the one I had pushed away to keep the peace. Monica worked for the FBI now, Financial Crimes Division. If anyone could understand what Vincent had done, it was her. I hadn't spoken to her in over 2 years. I didn't even know if she would answer. But I had no other choice. I picked up my phone, found her number, stared at it for a long time. What if she was angry at me for disappearing? What if she didn't want to help? What if she thought I was being dramatic? My daughter kicked again, harder this time. I pressed call. It rang once, twice, 3 times, then her voice. The same voice that had gotten me through college. The same voice that had always told me the truth, even when I didn't want to hear it. Destiny, is that you? I couldn't speak for a second. Couldn't get the words past the lump in my throat. Monica, I finally managed. I need help. I think my husband is trying to destroy me. There was a pause, a long one. Then Monica said the words that saved my life. Tell me everything, and send me every document you have. Tonight. Use our old email, the one from school. She didn't ask questions about why I had disappeared, didn't lecture me about cutting her off, didn't say I told you so even though she had every right to. She just showed up, the way real friends do. I'm going to look at everything she said. But Destiny, I need you to listen to me. Whatever you do, don't let him know you know. Act normal. Be the wife he thinks you are, because if he figures out you're on to him, he will accelerate whatever he's planning." I understood. "One more thing," Monica said. "Do you have somewhere safe to go? Someone he doesn't know about?" I thought about Aunt Ruby. The Aunt Vincent had convinced me was against our marriage, the one I hadn't spoken to in months. "Yes," I said. "I have someone." "Good. Get your important documents to her. Birth certificate, social security card, anything you can't replace. Do it quietly. Do it soon." That night after Vincent fell asleep, I stayed up until 3 in the morning, organizing files, sending everything to Monica, creating a timeline of every document, every signing, every manipulation. I was building my case, and I was just getting started. The next few days were the hardest performance of my life. Every morning I smiled at Vincent, made his breakfast, asked about his day, pretended to be the same naive, trusting wife he had married. Every night I waited for him to fall asleep. Then I worked, researching, documenting, building. But I needed more than just Monica. I needed people here, people who could help me when things got bad, and I knew things were going to get bad. My next doctor's appointment was on Tuesday. My OB/GYN, Dr. Angela Washington, had been seeing me throughout the pregnancy. She was the one who had put me on bed rest, the one who had been monitoring my blood pressure. I liked her. She was straightforward, no nonsense, the kind of doctor who looked you in the eye when she talked to you. That Tuesday, something was different about our appointment. She did the usual checks: blood pressure still too high, baby still healthy, rest still important. But when the nurse left the room, Dr. Washington didn't leave with her. She pulled up a chair, sat close to me, looked at me with those sharp, knowing eyes. "Destiny," she said quietly, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth." My heart started racing. I didn't know where this was going. "Is everything okay at home?" I almost said yes. Almost gave her the automatic answer I had been programmed to give. "Everything's fine. My husband takes care of me. I'm blessed." But something in her face stopped me. Something that said she already knew the answer. She was just waiting for me to admit it. "Why do you ask?" I said instead. She pulled out a folder, showed me a chart. "This is your stress marker history over the past 7 months," she said. "See this pattern? Every major spike coincides with something. First trimester, massive spike around week 10. Second trimester, another spike around week 18. Third trimester, the worst spike yet around week 28. I looked at the chart. Week 10 was when I signed the house documents. Week 18 was the estate planning papers. Week 28 was the business loans. My body had been keeping score, even when my mind was in denial. Dr. Washington leaned in closer. "I've been doing this for 20 years, she said. "I know what financial stress looks like. I know what isolation looks like. I know what coercive control looks like, and I'm seeing all of it in you." I couldn't hold it in anymore. The tears came before I could stop them. She handed me tissues and waited. Didn't push, just waited. I told her some of it, not everything, but enough, that my husband had been making me sign documents I didn't understand, that I felt trapped, that I had nowhere to go. She listened to all of it. Then she said something that changed everything. "Destiny, what you're describing is abuse. Financial abuse is abuse. Coercive control is abuse. Just because he's never hit you doesn't mean you're not being harmed." I had never thought of it that way. Abuse meant bruises. Abuse meant violence. What Vincent was doing was just manipulation. Wasn't it? No. It wasn't just anything. It was calculated destruction of another person, and I was the person being destroyed. "I want you to meet someone," Dr. Washington said. "Her name is Keisha Thompson. She's a social worker here at the hospital. She specializes in helping women in situations like yours." "I don't know," I said. "I'm not sure I'm ready." Dr. Washington took my hand. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for, but just talk to her. Let her tell you what resources are available. Let her help you make a plan. You're going to need a plan, Destiny, especially with a baby coming." She was right. I knew she was right. "Okay," I said. "I'll talk to her." Keisha came to see me before I left the hospital that day. She was younger than I expected, maybe 33, warm smile, natural hair and beautiful locks. The kind of presence that made you feel safe immediately. She didn't treat me like a victim, didn't look at me with pity, just talked to me like a person who had options. "Destiny," she said. "I've worked with hundreds of women in situations like yours, and I want you to know something. You are not trapped. You have more power than you think." She gave me pamphlets about financial abuse, information about resources, phone numbers for legal aid, a safety planning guide. But the most important thing she gave me was a name. Sharon Davis, Keisha said. She's a divorce attorney, specializes in cases involving financial abuse. She's handled some of the most complicated situations I've ever seen, and she takes pro bono cases for women who can't afford representation. "I don't have any money," I said. "My husband controls everything." Keisha smiled. "That's exactly why you need Sharon. She's seen every trick in the book. And she knows how to fight back against men who think they can hide money and destroy their wives financially." She wrote the number on a piece of paper. "Put it in my hand. Call her when you're ready. But don't wait too long. The closer you get to delivery, the harder things become." I tucked the number into my bra, the one place Vincent would never look. That night I called Aunt Ruby. I waited until Vincent was asleep, went into the bathroom, turned on the shower to cover the sound, and called the woman I had abandoned because my husband told me to. She answered on the first ring, like she had been waiting. "Baby girl," she said. "I knew you'd call eventually." I broke down completely, sobbed into the phone, apologized for everything, for disappearing, for believing Vincent over her, for being so blind for so long. Aunt Ruby listened to all of it. And when I was done, she said the words I needed to hear most. "You come to me whenever you're ready. I've got a room waiting. I've got food in the kitchen, and I've got something your grandmother left for you, something that man doesn't know about." "What do you mean?" I asked. She told me about the safety deposit box, the one my grandmother had opened years ago, the one she told Aunt Ruby to give me if I ever needed to escape. "Your grandmama knew," Aunt Ruby said. "Even back then she knew something wasn't right about that man. She made me promise to keep this safe until you needed it." I couldn't breathe. My grandmother had been gone for 5 years, but she was still protecting me, still looking out for me, still trying to save me from beyond the grave. "What's in it?" I asked. "Cash," Aunt Ruby said. "About $25,000, and a letter." She made me promise not to read it, said it was for your eyes only. $25,000, enough to hire a lawyer, enough to get away, enough to survive while I figured out my next move. I had resources I didn't even know about. "Can you keep some documents safe for me?" I asked. "Important papers, things I can't risk him finding. You bring whatever you need, baby. This house is your safe harbor. Always has been, always will be." I didn't sleep that night, but for the first time in months, it wasn't because of fear. It was because of hope. I had a doctor who saw what was happening. I had a social worker with resources. I had a lawyer's number in my bra. I had $25,000 waiting for me at my aunt's house. And I had Monica, my brilliant FBI forensic accountant friend, analyzing every document I had. Vincent thought he had isolated me completely. He was wrong. He had cut me off from the people who loved me. But he hadn't killed those connections. He had just buried them. And now they were rising up. My army was assembling. And Vincent had no idea what was coming. Getting to Aunt Ruby's house was the hardest part. Vincent tracked my phone, tracked my car. His mother watched my every move. But I had a doctor's appointment scheduled for that Thursday. A real one. Dr. Washington had helped me set it up as cover. I told Vincent I had a longer appointment than usual, some extra tests because of the blood pressure issues. He barely looked up from his phone. "Fine, call me when you're done." He didn't offer to come, didn't ask if I was worried about the baby, didn't care about anything except that I wasn't interrupting his day. I drove to the hospital, checked in, let them take my blood pressure, and do the routine checks. Everything took about 45 minutes. Then I left through the back entrance where Dr. Washington had arranged for a different car to be waiting, a friend of Keisha's, someone who wanted to help. I drove 2 hours to Aunt Ruby's town, 2 hours of looking in the rearview mirror, 2 hours of expecting Vincent's car to appear behind me, 2 hours of my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my temples. But no one followed me. No one knew. When I pulled into Aunt Ruby's driveway, she was already standing on the porch, waiting, like she had been waiting for years. I got out of the car, and she wrapped me in her arms. The smell of her perfume brought back memories. Sunday dinners at Grandma's house, holiday gatherings, a time before Vincent, a time when I was myself. I cried into her shoulder. She just held me and let me cry. "Come inside, baby. I've got tea ready, and we've got work to do." Her house was small but warm, photos everywhere. My grandmother in most of them, smiling, strong, the woman who had raised me to be independent and somehow watched me lose myself anyway. Aunt Ruby sat me down at the kitchen table, put a cup of sweet tea in front of me. Then she placed a small silver key next to the cup. "This is it," she said, "the safety deposit box. I've been holding this key for 5 years. Your grandmother made me promise to wait until you asked for it." I picked up the key. It was warm from being in Aunt Ruby's pocket. Such a small thing, but it represented everything my grandmother had wanted to give me. Freedom, security, a way out. "The bank is about 10 minutes from here," Aunt Ruby said. "We should go before it closes." 20 minutes later, I was standing in the vault of First National Bank. The attendant left me alone with the box. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside, there was a thick envelope stuffed with cash. I counted it later. $25,400, all in hundreds, all waiting for the day I would need it. There was also a smaller envelope, yellowed with age, my name written on the front in my grandmother's handwriting. I opened it carefully. The letter inside was dated 5 years ago, the year before she died. "My dearest Destiny, if you're reading this, then something went wrong. And I'm so sorry I'm not there to help you fix it. I never trusted that man. I know you loved him. I know he said all the right things, but I've lived long enough to know that words don't mean anything without actions, and his actions never sat right with me. I saved this money for you because I wanted you to have options he doesn't know about, options that belong to you and only you. Use this money to get free. Use it to hire a lawyer. Use it to start over. Use it however you need to. But most importantly, remember who you are. You are Destiny Marie Brooks. You are smart. You are capable. You are strong. You are everything I raised you to be. Don't let any man make you forget that. Don't let any man take that away from you. I'm with you, baby girl. Even if you can't see me, I'm with you. Get yourself free. Then live the life you deserve. All my love. Forever, Grandma." I must have read that letter 10 times, crying through every single reading. My grandmother had seen through Vincent when I couldn't, had prepared for this day when I didn't even know it was coming, had loved me enough to plan for my escape even as she was dying. I didn't deserve her, but I was going to make her proud. I put the letter back in the envelope, tucked it into my purse with the cash. Then I looked at what else was in the box: my original birth certificate, my Social Security card, my passport, documents I would need to rebuild my life. And one more thing, a deed. I pulled it out, read it 3 times to make sure I understood. It was the deed to my grandmother's old house, the one I thought had been sold after she died, the one I thought was gone. It hadn't been sold. It had been transferred into a trust with me as the sole beneficiary, a trust that had nothing to do with Vincent, a trust he didn't know existed. The house was worth about $80,000. It wasn't much, but it was mine, completely and totally mine. An asset he couldn't touch because he didn't know about it. My grandmother had been playing chess while I was playing checkers. She had protected me in ways I was only now understanding. I drove back to Aunt Ruby's house with the box contents hidden in a bag inside another bag. Aunt Ruby was waiting with more tea and a plate of food. "You found everything?" she asked. I nodded, couldn't speak. Just handed her my grandmother's letter. She read it, wiped her eyes, handed it back. "That woman loved you more than life itself," Aunt Ruby said. "Don't let her down." "I won't," I said. "I promise." Before I left, I gave Aunt Ruby copies of everything, every document, every photograph, every piece of evidence I had gathered. She would keep them safe. If anything happened to me, if Vincent somehow found out and tried to destroy the evidence, there would be another copy. I also told her about the phone call I had overheard, about Elena, about the life insurance policy. Aunt Ruby's face went hard, a look I had never seen on her before. "That man is evil," she said. "Pure evil. You get yourself and that baby away from him. Whatever it takes." "I'm working on it," I said. "I have people helping me." "Good." "And Destiny." She grabbed my hand tight. "If you ever need to run, you come here. Don't think. Don't hesitate. Just come. I'll be waiting." I drove back to the hospital, switched cars, got my phone from the friend who had been holding it, checked in at the front desk so there would be a record of me being there. By the time Vincent picked me up, I had been gone almost 5 hours. But as far as he knew, I had been at the hospital the entire time. "How was the appointment?" he asked, barely glancing at me. "Fine," I said. "Just more monitoring. Doctor says to keep resting." He nodded, already looking at his phone, already thinking about something else. I sat in the passenger seat, hand on my belly, knowing that I had $25,000 in cash hidden at my aunt's house, knowing that I had a property worth $80,000 that he couldn't touch, knowing that I had evidence being analyzed by an FBI forensic accountant. Vincent thought he had won. He had no idea the game had just changed completely. 3 days later, Monica called. I was in the bathroom again, shower running, door locked. The only place in my house where I had any privacy. "Destiny," Monica said, her voice serious. "I've gone through everything you sent me, every document, every signature, every date. And girl, this is bad. But it's also good, because what your husband did isn't just shady, it's criminal." My legs went weak. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub. "Walk me through it," I said. Monica took a deep breath. I could hear papers rustling on her end. "Okay, first let's talk about the house. The refinancing documents you signed in your first trimester. You were supposed to be refinancing for a better rate. That's what he told you." "Right, that's not what happened. What actually happened is a quitclaim deed was buried in that stack of papers. You signed away your ownership of the house your grandmother's money paid for. It's now solely in Vincent's name. I knew this part. I had figured it out myself, but hearing Monica confirm it made it real. "Can I fight that?" I asked. "Yes, because there's a problem with those documents. The notarization is invalid." "What do you mean?" Monica's voice got harder. "The notary on those documents is Vanessa Cole." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. "His mistress," I whispered. "His mistress," Monica confirmed. "She's been his assistant for 5 years. She's also been signing off on documents as a notary. But here's the thing. In Illinois, a notary cannot notarize documents in which they have a personal interest. She's romantically involved with Vincent. She benefits from this scheme. That makes every document she notarized potentially invalid." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "There's more," Monica said. "Let's talk about the power of attorney documents, the ones from your second trimester, the estate planning papers." "Right. Except they weren't estate planning. They were a financial takeover. You gave Vincent full power of attorney over all your assets. That means he can access your accounts, make decisions about your property, even sign things in your name." "I know. I saw that. But here's what you didn't see. He's been using that power of attorney to sign documents as you, not just access accounts. Actually forge your signature." My blood went cold. "I found at least 3 documents in the pile you sent me that have your signature on them. But Destiny, you didn't sign them. The signatures don't match. They're close, but they're not yours. He's been forging your signature and using the power of attorney as cover." "That's fraud," I said. "That's several kinds of fraud," Monica agreed. "Forgery, bank fraud, potentially wire fraud if any of it crossed state lines. These are federal crimes, Destiny. We're talking prison time." I put my head in my hands. This was bigger than I thought. Much bigger. "Now let's talk about the business loans," Monica continued. "The ones from last month, the $2.3 million, those loans were taken out in the name of 3 LLCs. LLCs that Vincent controls completely. You're not listed as an owner or member of any of them. You have no stake in these businesses at all, but you personally guaranteed the loans. How is that legal?" "It's not entirely. He had you sign personal guarantees for businesses you have no involvement in. That's already questionable. But here's where it gets really bad. Tell me." I traced the money. Those $2.3 million in loans. They didn't go into the businesses. They went into a series of accounts that eventually ended up in an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Vincent has been siphoning money for at least a year, and he's using your name, your credit, your signature to do it. I felt like the room was spinning. "He's going to let those businesses fail," Monica said. "Probably declare bankruptcy, walk away clean, and the banks will come after you for the money, because you guaranteed it." But I didn't know what I was signing. That's the defense. Duress, coercion, fraud. You were pregnant, medically compromised, and he exploited that to get your signatures on documents you didn't understand. I was silent for a long moment, taking it all in. Destiny. Monica said, her voice softening. "There's one more thing, and this one is the scariest. What the life insurance policy?" My heart stopped. I searched for policies in your name, found one taken out 8 months ago. $2 million. Vincent is the sole beneficiary. "He took out life insurance on me," I said. "On his pregnant wife," Monica clarified. "A pregnant wife with documented health complications, high blood pressure, risk of preeclampsia, the kind of pregnancy that has a higher risk of complications." She didn't want to say the word. She didn't have to. "You think he's planning to—" "I don't know what he's planning," Monica said, "but I know what it looks like. A man who stands to gain millions from his wife's death, during a pregnancy with known risks, after systematically stealing everything she has." I started crying, couldn't stop. "Destiny, listen to me. You need to get out of that house. Soon. This isn't just financial abuse anymore. This is dangerous. I'm almost 8 months pregnant," I said. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Your aunt, the lawyer, a shelter, anywhere but there. Because if he figures out, if he realizes you've been investigating, I don't know what he'll do." I took a deep breath, wiped my eyes. "What do I need to do?" I asked. "Tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it." Monica's voice steadied, the agent in her taking over. "First, you need a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Someone who specializes in financial abuse cases. Someone who can move fast and file emergency motions. I have a name. Sharon Davis." "Good. Call her tomorrow. Tell her everything. Show her everything." "Okay. Second, you need to document everything from now on. Every conversation, every interaction. If he threatens you, record it if you legally can. Build your case stronger every day. I will. Third, and this is important, you need an exit plan, a bag packed with essentials, documents stored somewhere safe, money accessible, a place to go at a moment's notice. Because when this blows up, it's going to blow up fast. I have money now, the safety deposit box. Good, use it. This is exactly what your grandmother saved it for." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Destiny." Monica said, her voice firm. "You're not a victim. You're a witness to financial crimes that could put this man in prison. You have evidence that federal prosecutors would kill for. You have the documentation to prove systematic fraud. So what do I do with it? You take back your life, and you make him pay for every single thing he's done to you." I ended the call, sat in that bathroom for a long time. The shower still running, steam filling the room. Vincent thought I was helpless, thought I was just a tired, pregnant woman who would sign whatever he put in front of her. He had no idea he was living with a witness to his crimes. A witness with evidence. A witness with an FBI forensic accountant in her corner. A witness who was about to burn his entire empire to the ground. I dried my eyes, fixed my face, walked out of the bathroom. Vincent was in the living room watching TV with his mother. "Everything okay?" he asked without looking at me. "Fine," I said. "Just needed a hot shower." He grunted, went back to his show. I walked past him, went to the kitchen, started making dinner. And the whole time I was cooking, I was planning. Planning how to contact the lawyer, planning how to file the motions, planning how to escape this house before he figured out what was happening. My grandmother's letter said to get myself free. That's exactly what I was going to do. I called Sharon Davis the next morning. Vincent had left for work. His mother was in her room watching her morning shows. I had maybe 2 hours. Sharon's office answered on the second ring. I said Keisha Thompson referred me, that it was urgent, that I was pregnant and in a dangerous situation. They put me through immediately, Mrs. Brooks, Sharon said. Her voice was warm but professional. "Tell me what's happening." I told her everything. The signings, the pregnancy complications, the overheard phone call, the forged signatures, the offshore accounts, the life insurance policy. everything Monica had found, everything I had discovered on my own. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Mrs. Brooks," she finally said in my 25 years practicing family law, "I've seen a lot of financial abuse cases, but this is one of the most thoroughly documented schemes I've ever encountered. Is that good or bad?" "It's very good for your case. Your husband made one critical error." "What's that?" "He married a CPA who keeps receipts." I almost laughed. "Almost?" "Here's what we're going to do," Sharon said. "I need you to come to my office." "Not the main office. I have a satellite location I use for sensitive cases. Tomorrow, if possible. Bring everything you have, copies of documents, your timeline, your notes, everything. I don't know if I can get away without him knowing. You have doctor appointments, don't you?" "Yes. Schedule one for tomorrow afternoon. Come to me instead. I'll make sure we have enough time." I wrote down the address. A small office building about 20 minutes from the hospital. Mrs. Brooks. "Sharon said I want to be clear about something. Based on what you've told me, this isn't just a divorce case. This involves criminal activity, forgery, fraud, potentially insurance fraud. Those are separate from the divorce proceedings. What does that mean for me? It means we have options. We can pursue civil remedies through the divorce court. We can also refer criminal matters to the appropriate authorities. The more pressure we put on him from multiple directions, the better your outcome will be." "I understand." "One more thing," she said. "I take cases like yours pro bono. I don't want you to worry about legal fees. My fee will come from whatever we recover from your husband. And based on what you've described, there's going to be a lot to recover." I thanked her, probably too many times. She told me to rest, to stay safe, and to come prepared tomorrow. After I hung up, I did something else. Something I had been avoiding, because I wasn't sure how to approach it. I searched for Elena Vasquez again. Monica had helped me find more information. Elena had moved to Minnesota after the divorce, lived quietly, worked as a waitress, had essentially rebuilt her entire life from nothing. I found what looked like a social media account, set to private. But there was a message option. I wrote and rewrote that message about 10 times. Finally, I settled on something simple. "Elena, my name is Destiny. I'm currently married to Vincent Brooks. I recently discovered what he did to you, and I'm realizing he's doing the same thing to me. I'm 7 months pregnant and I'm scared. If you're willing to talk, I could really use your help. I'm so sorry for what you went through. And I'm sorry no one believed you. I sent it before I could change my mind." 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. A response. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. "Destiny. I've been waiting for this message for 6 years. Call me." There was a phone number. I saved it. Waited until that night when Vincent was asleep. Then I went to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and called. She answered immediately. Her voice was quiet, cautious. "Is it safe to talk?" she asked. "Yes. He's asleep." "Okay, I'm going to tell you everything. And then I'm going to help you in whatever way I can, because I will not let him destroy another woman." Elena's story was my story, almost exactly. She met Vincent at a business conference. She was an architect, successful, independent, good credit. He pursued her relentlessly, charmed her, made her feel like the center of the universe. They married after a year. He convinced her to quit her job, to let him handle the finances, to trust him completely. Then the control started. The isolation, the documents he asked her to sign. When she started questioning things, he turned mean, told her she was paranoid, told her she was crazy, told her no one would believe her. He started recording her, provoking her into emotional reactions and then documenting them, building a case that she was mentally unstable. When she tried to leave, he threatened to have her committed, said he had evidence of her instability, said no court would ever side with her. She left anyway, but she left with nothing. "I had to choose," Elena said. "Fight him for years in court with no money and no support while he destroyed my reputation, or walk away and start over." I walked away. "I'm so sorry," I said. "Don't be sorry. Be smart. Be smarter than I was." She paused. "There's something you have that I didn't have," she said. "What evidence?" "Documentation. I didn't photograph anything. I didn't have copies. When I tried to make accusations, it was my word against his, and his word was backed by lawyers and money and his mother who swore I was crazy. You don't have that problem. You have the receipts. I told her about Monica, about Sharon, about everything I had compiled. Good, Elena said. That's good. But there's one more thing you need. What me? My testimony. Proof that this is a pattern. That he's done this before. Would you really testify in a heartbeat? I've been waiting 6 years to tell my story to someone who would actually listen. Someone who could actually use it against him. I have a lawyer, Sharon Davis. Can I have her contact you, please? Elena gave me her information, her full name, her address, her willingness to cooperate in any legal proceedings. Destiny, she said before we hung up. I need you to be careful. Vincent is dangerous. Not physically, or at least he wasn't with me, but psychologically, financially. He will do anything to win. Anything. I know. And there's something else. When I left, his mother told me something. Said it casually like it was nothing. She said I was lucky he didn't do to me what he did to the first one. Wait. There was someone before you? I don't know for sure. I've always wondered. But I never found any evidence. It was just something his mother said. Like there had been someone else. Someone who didn't get away. A chill ran down my spine. Be careful, Elena said again. And when you bring him down hard. For both of us. I hung up and sat in that bathroom thinking. Vincent's mother had mentioned another woman, someone before Elena, someone who didn't get away. What did that mean? Had there been another victim? Someone who couldn't escape, someone who... I couldn't finish the thought. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to be another statistic. Another woman destroyed by Vincent Brooks. I had a lawyer. I had an FBI forensic accountant. I had a previous victim willing to testify. I had $25,000 in cash and a property worth $80,000. I had evidence of fraud forgery and suspicious life insurance policies. I was 8 months pregnant, trapped in a house with a predator, and fighting for my life and my daughter's future. But I wasn't alone anymore, and I wasn't going to lose. The next day, I met with Sharon at her satellite office. I brought everything. Every document, every photograph, every note, every piece of evidence I had gathered. She spread it all out on her conference table, studied it for over an hour. When she looked up, there was fire in her eyes. Mrs. Brooks, she said, your husband is going to prison, and you're going to take back everything he stole from you. She started explaining the plan, the motions she would file, the asset freezes, the emergency orders, the criminal referrals. I listened to all of it. Took notes, asked questions. At the end, she looked at me seriously. There's one more thing we need to discuss. Timing. You're almost 8 months pregnant. Ideally, we wait until after the baby is born to file. It's safer for you physically. Gives you more stability. But if Vincent figures out what's happening before then, he could accelerate his plans. He could move assets faster. Or worse. So what do you recommend? I recommend we prepare everything now. Have all the motions ready to file at a moment's notice. Build the strongest possible case. And then when you're ready, when you feel safe, we pull the trigger. And if he finds out before I'm ready, then we file immediately. Emergency motions. Get you protection. Get your assets frozen. Move as fast as possible. I nodded. I can do this, I said, more to myself than to her. Sharon smiled. I know you can. I've seen a lot of women in your situation. You're one of the strongest I've met, and you're going to win this. I left that office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Not power over anyone else. Power over my own life, my own future. Vincent thought he had stripped me of everything, thought he had left me helpless and dependent. But I had rebuilt myself in secret, built an army he didn't know about, gathered weapons he couldn't see. He was still playing the game he thought he had already won. He didn't know the rules had changed completely. Something changed in the house that week. Vincent started looking at me differently, not with the usual indifference, with something else. Suspicion. Calculation. I had been so careful. Never used my phone when he was around. Never left any evidence lying out. Never gave any sign that I knew what he was doing. But predators sense when their prey is waking up, and Vincent was starting to sense something. He came home early on Wednesday. I was in the kitchen making dinner. His mother was watching television in the living room. We need to talk, he said. My heart started pounding, but I kept my face calm. About what? He sat down at the kitchen table, pulled out a folder I hadn't seen before. I've been doing some thinking about our future, about protecting our family. With the baby coming, we need to make sure everything is in order. I kept stirring the pot on the stove. Didn't turn around. What do you mean? He opened the folder, spread papers across the table. I had my lawyer draw up some additional documents, post-nuptial agreement. Just to clarify things, make sure we're both protected. I finally turned around, looked at the papers on the table. Even from across the kitchen I could see what they were. A post-nuptial agreement that would waive all my rights to everything, every asset, every property, every claim I might have in a divorce. He was trying to close the trap completely. "Come sit down," he said. His voice was gentle, but his eyes were hard. "Let's go through it together." I dried my hands on a towel, walked over slowly, sat across from him at the table. He pushed the papers toward me, pointed at lines and paragraphs. "This just says that we each keep what we came into the marriage with. It's fair. It protects both of us." I looked at the document, read the words carefully, my CPA brain picking apart every clause. It wasn't fair. It was a complete surrender. I would give up any claim to the house, the cars, the investments, everything. And I would acknowledge that I had no interest in any of his business holdings. It also said I accepted full responsibility for any debts incurred during the marriage. All the debt he had put in my name, all the loans I had guaranteed. This document would make them permanently mine. If I signed this, I would walk away from the marriage with nothing but millions in debt. "This is very thorough," I said carefully. "I should have a lawyer look at it." His face changed. Just for a second. That cold flash I had seen before. "A lawyer. We're husband and wife. We don't need lawyers between us." I kept my voice steady. "It's a legal document. I would never sign a legal document without having it reviewed. That's just common sense." He stared at me. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out if this was just caution or something more. "You've never asked for a lawyer before," he said slowly. "I've never been asked to sign a post-nuptial agreement before." We sat in silence for a long moment. The tension in the room was suffocating. His mother appeared in the doorway, watching. "What's going on?" she asked. "Just discussing some paperwork," Vincent said. His eyes never left my face. "Destiny wants a lawyer to review it." "A lawyer." His mother's voice dripped with disapproval. "What do you need a lawyer for? Vincent is your husband. He would never do anything to hurt you." I didn't respond, just kept looking at Vincent. Something passed between us in that moment, some silent understanding. He knew. Maybe not everything, but he knew something had changed, knew I wasn't the same compliant woman who had signed whatever he put in front of her. "Fine," he said finally. "Have your lawyer look at it. But I want it signed by the end of the week." He gathered the papers and left the kitchen. His mother followed, throwing me a disgusted look over her shoulder. I stood alone in that kitchen, hands shaking. The end of the week. That was 3 days. I had 3 days before he expected me to sign away everything. 3 days before he would know for certain that I wasn't going to comply. 3 days before everything exploded. I needed to move. Now. That night after Vincent fell asleep, I called Sharon. "He's suspicious," I whispered into the phone. "He gave me a post-nup to sign. Wants it done by Friday." Sharon was quiet for a moment. "Then we move now," she said. "Tomorrow. I'll have the emergency motions ready to file first thing in the morning. You need to be out of that house by the time he gets served. I'm 8 months pregnant." "Where am I going to go?" "Your aunt's house. It's far enough away. And he doesn't know about it, right?" "No. He never met her. Doesn't know where she lives." "Good. Pack a bag tonight. Only essentials. Documents, clothes, medications. Leave first thing in the morning while he's at work." "What about his mother?" "She watches everything. Tell her you have a doctor's appointment. Same cover as before. By the time she realizes you're not coming back, we'll already have protective orders in place." I took a deep breath. "This was really happening." "Destiny," Sharon said firmly. "You can do this. You've been preparing for this moment. Trust yourself." Okay. I'll be ready. I'll call you in the morning with the address of the courthouse. We're filing everything at once. Divorce, emergency asset freeze, restraining order, criminal referral, all of it." I hung up and sat in the dark bathroom, hand on my belly. "This is it, baby girl," I whispered to my daughter. "Tomorrow we run. Tomorrow we fight. Tomorrow everything changes." She kicked in response, strong and steady, like she was ready too. I crept back to the bedroom. Vincent was still asleep. I watched him for a long moment. The man I had loved, the man I had trusted, the man who had been planning my destruction from the very first day we met. Tomorrow he would learn what happens when you underestimate a woman. Tomorrow he would learn what a CPA with receipts can do. I didn't sleep that night. I packed. One bag. Just the essentials. Documents, medications, a few changes of clothes, pictures of my grandmother. Everything else could be replaced, but those things could not. I hid the bag in the back of my closet, set my alarm for 6, and I waited for dawn. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Vincent was still asleep. I moved quietly, got dressed in comfortable clothes, put on shoes I could walk in, grabbed my bag from the closet. I paused at the bedroom door, looked back at him one last time. He looked peaceful when he slept, almost like the man I thought I had married, the charming man who had promised to take care of me forever. But that man never existed. He was a mask, a costume, a performance designed to steal everything I had. "Goodbye, Vincent," I whispered. He didn't stir. I walked downstairs, made coffee like I did every morning, left a cup on the counter for him. Normal routine, nothing suspicious. His mother wasn't awake yet. Good. I grabbed my purse, made sure I had my phone, my keys, the bag I had packed, took one last look around the house I had put my grandmother's money into. The house that should have been mine. I would get it back, or I would burn it down in the divorce. Either way, Vincent wasn't keeping it. I opened the front door and stepped outside into the cool morning air. My car was in the driveway. I got in, started the engine, backed out slowly. As I pulled onto the street, I looked in my rearview mirror. The house was quiet. No one at the windows, no one watching. I had made it out. I drove for 2 hours, hands gripping the steering wheel, eyes checking the mirror constantly, expecting to see Vincent's car behind me at any moment. But no one followed. No one knew. When I pulled into Aunt Ruby's driveway, I finally let myself breathe. She was waiting on the porch, same as before, like she had been there all night. I got out of the car and walked toward her. Every step felt heavy, my body exhausted, my mind spinning. She met me halfway, wrapped her arms around me. "You made it," she said. "You're safe now." I broke down completely. All the tension, all the fear, all the planning. It all came out in sobs against my aunt's shoulder. She held me for a long time, didn't say anything, just let me cry. Finally, I pulled myself together, wiped my eyes. "I need to call my lawyer," I said. "We're filing today." Aunt Ruby nodded. "Come inside. Get some food in you first. You're eating for 2, remember?" She made me breakfast, eggs and toast and fresh orange juice. I ate more than I had eaten in months. Then I called Sharon. "I'm out," I said. "I'm at my aunt's house." "Good," Sharon said. "I'm at the courthouse now. We're filing in 30 minutes. The judge has already agreed to an emergency hearing this afternoon based on the preliminary evidence we submitted. This afternoon, the faster we move, the less time he has to react. Can you be here by 2? I'll be there. Bring everything. Documents, timeline identification. And destiny. Wear something professional. First impressions matter to judges." I hung up and looked at Aunt Ruby. "I have to go to court today," I said. "Emergency hearing." Aunt Ruby nodded. "I'm coming with you. You don't have to do that." She took my hand, looked me straight in the eye. "Your grandmother would never forgive me if I let you walk into that courtroom alone. I'm coming. End of discussion." We drove to the courthouse together. Aunt Ruby insisted on driving so I could rest. I sat in the passenger seat, hand on my belly, watching the miles pass. In a few hours, Vincent would be served with divorce papers. He would learn that his accounts were frozen, that a restraining order was being sought, that criminal referrals were being made. He would learn that his carefully constructed scheme had collapsed. Part of me wished I could see his face when he found out. The shock, the rage, the realization that his pregnant, helpless wife had outmaneuvered him completely. But I didn't need to see it. I just needed to survive it. We arrived at the courthouse at 1:30. Sharon was waiting outside. She looked exactly how I had pictured, professional, sharp. The kind of woman who commanded attention when she walked into a room. She shook my hand, then shook Aunt Ruby's. "You must be the aunt," Sharon said. "Destiny told me about you. Thank you for giving her a safe place." "Family takes care of family," Aunt Ruby said simply. Sharon led us inside, through security, down a long hallway, into a small conference room. "The hearing is in an hour," she said. "Let me walk you through what's going to happen." She explained everything, the motions she had filed, the evidence she would present, the outcomes she was seeking, emergency protective order, asset freeze, exclusive possession of the marital home, criminal referral to the district attorney. "The judge has already reviewed the preliminary filing," Sharon said. "She's seen the evidence of forgery, the suspicious life insurance policy, the pattern with the first wife. She's taking this very seriously." "What about Vincent?" I asked. "Does he know yet?" "He's being served right now. At his office, in front of his colleagues." I felt a small, dark satisfaction at that. He had always cared so much about appearances, about what people thought of him. Now everyone at his office would see him being served with divorce papers and fraud allegations. His perfect image was about to shatter. "One more thing," Sharon said. "Elena Vasquez submitted a written statement about what Vincent did to her, about the pattern of behavior. It's part of our filing." Elena, the woman I had never met but felt connected to. She was fighting with me even from 1,000 miles away. And Monica Sharon continued. "She's prepared a forensic analysis of all the financial crimes. She's on call if the judge has questions. Her credentials with the FBI carry a lot of weight." I nodded, taking it all in. In 1 hour, everything I had built in secret would be revealed. Every piece of evidence, every ally, every plan. Vincent would finally see who I really was. Not a victim, not a mark, not a helpless pregnant woman. A fighter, a survivor, a CPA who kept receipts. "Are you ready?" Sharon asked. I looked at my aunt. She gave me a small nod of encouragement. I put my hand on my belly, felt my daughter kick. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood-paneled walls, hard benches, an American flag in the corner. The judge's bench raised high at the front of the room. I sat at the petitioner's table with Sharon. Aunt Ruby sat in the gallery behind me, close enough that I could feel her presence. We had been there for 20 minutes when the doors opened. Vincent walked in. He looked like he had been hit by a truck. His suit was wrinkled. His tie was loose. His face was pale with rage. Behind him came his lawyer, an older man with an expensive suit and a nervous expression. He had clearly been called in at the last minute, had clearly not had time to prepare for what he was walking into. Vincent looked around the courtroom. His eyes found me. The hatred in that look could have burned through steel, but I didn't look away. I held his gaze, let him see that I wasn't afraid anymore. He sat down at the respondent's table, leaned over to whisper something to his lawyer. The lawyer shook his head, whispered something back. Vincent's face went even paler. "All rise," the bailiff called. The Honorable Judge Patricia Coleman presiding. Judge Coleman entered, a black woman in her 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes, the kind of face that said she had seen everything and wasn't easily impressed. She sat down, looked at both tables. "This is an emergency hearing in the matter of Brooks versus Brooks. I've reviewed the preliminary filings. Before we begin, I want to be clear about what this hearing is and is not." She looked directly at Vincent. "Mr. Brooks, this hearing will determine whether emergency protective orders and asset freezes are warranted based on the evidence presented. This is not the final divorce proceeding. That will come later, but what happens here today will shape everything that comes after." "Yes, Your Honor," Vincent's lawyer said quickly. The judge turned to Sharon. "Ms. Davis, please present your case." Sharon stood. She was calm, confident, in complete control. "Your Honor, my client, Destiny Brooks, is 8 months pregnant. She has been the victim of systematic financial abuse, fraud, and coercion by her husband, the respondent. She began laying out the evidence. First, the house. Sharon showed the original deed with my name on it. Then the refinancing documents that removed my name. Then the notarization signed by Vanessa Cole. Your Honor, the notary on these documents is romantically involved with Mr. Brooks. This creates a conflict of interest that invalidates the notarization under Illinois law. Vincent's lawyer objected, called it speculation. The judge overruled him, told Sharon to continue, second the forged signatures. Sharon presented the forensic analysis Monica had prepared, showed the documents I had signed compared to documents with signatures that didn't match. An expert analysis confirms that at least 3 documents in this filing contain forged signatures. Someone signed Mrs. Brooks's name without her knowledge or consent. That's a lie, Vincent blurted out. Mr. Brooks, the judge said sharply, you will remain silent unless asked a direct question. Continue, Ms. Davis. Third, the financial exploitation. Sharon laid out the timeline. Every document I had signed while suffering from pregnancy complications. Every asset transferred to Vincent's control. Every debt put in my name. Mrs. Brooks personally guaranteed $2.3 million in business loans for companies she has no ownership stake in. These loans were taken out while she was experiencing documented medical distress. The money was then transferred to offshore accounts controlled solely by Mr. Brooks. She presented the bank records, the wire transfers, the trail Monica had uncovered. Vincent's face was gray now. His lawyer was frantically taking notes. Fourth and most disturbing, Sharon said, her voice dropping, the life insurance policy. She held up the document. 8 months ago, while Mrs. Brooks was experiencing a high-risk pregnancy with documented complications, Mr. Brooks took out a $2 million life insurance policy on her. He is the sole beneficiary. The courtroom went silent. Your Honor, Sharon continued, my client is a young woman with a high-risk pregnancy. Her husband has systematically stolen her assets, put her in debt, and taken out a massive life insurance policy on her. The implications are deeply concerning. The judge's face was hard. She turned to Vincent. Mr. Brooks, do you have an explanation for this policy? Vincent stood up. His lawyer tried to pull him back down. It's estate planning, he said, standard practice. If something happens to her during childbirth, I need to be able to take care of our child. Your Honor, Sharon interjected. Mr. Brooks has been having an affair with his assistant, Vanessa Cole. They have already signed a lease on a luxury apartment together. The policy wasn't taken out to protect his child. It was taken out because he expected to be rid of his wife one way or another. That's slander, Vincent shouted. She has no proof of any affair. Sharon pulled out another folder. Actually, we have the lease agreement with both signatures. We have credit card statements showing romantic dinners and hotel rooms. We have testimony from Mr. Brooks' first wife, Elena Vasquez, establishing a pattern of exactly this behavior. First wife Vincent's lawyer looked at his client. You didn't tell me there was a first wife. Vincent said nothing. Ms. Vasquez submitted a written statement, Sharon continued, describing how Mr. Brooks used identical tactics against her, financial manipulation, forged documents, isolation and control. She left the marriage with nothing because she feared for her safety if she stayed. The judge reviewed the statement. Her expression grew darker with every page. Mr. Brooks, she said finally, is it true you were previously married to Elena Vasquez? Yes, Vincent said through clenched teeth. But she was unstable. She made false accusations. The same accusations my client is now making, with documented evidence to support them. Vincent had no answer. The judge set down the papers. I've heard enough for the purposes of this emergency hearing. She looked at Vincent with barely concealed disgust. Mr. Brooks, the evidence presented today is deeply troubling. You have systematically transferred assets out of your wife's name while she was medically compromised. You have forged her signature on legal documents. You have taken out a suspicious life insurance policy during her high-risk pregnancy. And you have a prior spouse who tells an identical story. She picked up her gavel. I am granting the following emergency orders. 1. All assets in the names of Vincent Brooks, Destiny Brooks, or any associated LLCs are frozen immediately. No transfers, no withdrawals, no movement of any kind without court approval. 2. The marital home is awarded to Destiny Brooks for exclusive occupation. Mr. Brooks is to remove himself and any other occupants within 24 hours. 3. A temporary restraining order is granted. Mr. Brooks is to stay 500 feet from Destiny Brooks at all times. No contact of any kind. 4. Based on the evidence of forgery and fraud, I am referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal investigation. The gavel came down. Hard. We will reconvene for the full divorce proceedings in 3 weeks. Mr. Brooks, I strongly suggest you use that time to find better legal representation. You're going to need it. She stood. The bailiff called for everyone to rise, and just like that it was over. Vincent stood frozen at his table. His lawyer was already packing up, clearly wanting to get as far from this case as possible. I looked at Sharon. She was smiling. "We won," she said quietly. "This round, at least. But Destiny, the war isn't over. The divorce itself will take time. The criminal investigation will take time. But today, you took your life back." I turned around to look at Aunt Ruby. She was crying, smiling and crying at the same time. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she said. I walked out of that courtroom a different woman than the one who had walked in. The scared pregnant wife was gone. In her place was someone new, someone forged in fire, someone who had faced her worst nightmare and survived. Vincent had tried to destroy me, had planned for years to steal everything I had, but he forgot something important. He forgot that I was my grandmother's child, raised to be smart, raised to be strong, raised to always keep receipts, and now he was going to pay for that mistake, with everything he had. The next 24 hours were chaos, but it was good chaos, the kind of chaos that comes when justice finally starts to happen. Vincent was forced to leave the house by 6 p.m. the next day. A sheriff's deputy supervised while he packed his things. His mother had to leave too. The judge's order specified all occupants. Patricia Brooks was furious. She screamed at the deputy, screamed at Sharon, who was there to observe, screamed at no one in particular. "You can't do this," she kept saying. "This is my son's house. That woman is a thief and a liar." The deputy didn't respond, just waited while she packed her bags. I wasn't there. Sharon had advised me to stay away, let the process happen without my presence escalating things. But Aunt Ruby went. She wanted to see it, wanted to witness the people who had helped torment me being removed from my property. She told me about it later. That woman Patricia, she was crying by the end, Aunt Ruby said. Not from sadness, from rage. She couldn't believe what was happening, kept saying there must be some mistake. There was no mistake. The mistake was made years ago, when Vincent thought he could get away with this forever. Within a week, things started moving fast. The district attorney opened a formal investigation. Monica provided all the financial evidence. Elena provided her testimony about the pattern of behavior. The forged documents were sent to forensic experts. Vincent hired a new lawyer, a criminal defense attorney this time, expensive, aggressive, the kind of lawyer you hire when you know you're guilty and you're trying to avoid prison. But even the best lawyer can't make evidence disappear. The forensic accountant the DA brought in confirmed everything Monica had found: the shell companies, the offshore accounts, the money laundering, the forged signatures. 2 weeks after the emergency hearing, Vincent was arrested. I was at Aunt Ruby's house when I heard. Sharon called with the news. "They picked him up this morning," she said. Fraud, forgery, bank fraud, wire fraud. The DA is also looking into the life insurance policy. They're considering attempted insurance fraud charges. I sat down heavily. My due date was in 3 weeks. My life was changing so fast I could barely keep up. "What happens now?" I asked. "He'll be arraigned, probably released on bail. He has resources even with the asset freeze. But there will be conditions. He won't be able to leave the state. He'll have to surrender his passport. And the divorce." We proceed on schedule. The full hearing is next week. Based on everything that's happened, I expect a very favorable ruling. I hung up and sat for a long time, just thinking. Vincent was in jail. The man who had spent 4 years manipulating me, 4 years stealing from me, 4 years planning my destruction. He was sitting in a cell somewhere wearing an orange jumpsuit waiting for someone to bail him out. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for him, the part that still remembered the charming man I had fallen in love with. But that man never existed. He was a character Vincent played to catch his prey. The real Vincent was a predator, a criminal, a danger to any woman unlucky enough to trust him. He deserved everything that was coming to him. The divorce hearing happened 2 weeks later. I was 9 months pregnant, huge, uncomfortable, exhausted, but I insisted on being there. Sharon presented our case, the full timeline of abuse, the complete financial analysis. Elena testified via video call. Monica provided expert testimony about the fraud. Vincent's new lawyer tried to fight, tried to paint me as vindictive, as emotionally unstable, as a woman scorned who was fabricating evidence. But the evidence spoke for itself. Every document, every signature, every bank transfer, every piece of the puzzle that Vincent had thought no one would ever see. The judge took less than an hour to rule. All documents signed by Mrs. Brooks during her pregnancy are voided due to coercion and duress. The marital home is awarded solely to Mrs. Brooks. She made the down payment with inherited funds. She made all mortgage payments. The quitclaim deed removing her name is invalid due to fraudulent notarization. All debt in Mrs. Brooks' name related to Mr. Brooks' businesses is assigned to Mr. Brooks. He incurred the debt. He benefited from the funds. He will be responsible for repayment. All frozen assets are awarded to Mrs. Brooks as restitution for financial abuse and fraud. The judge looked at Vincent. Mr. Brooks, in my 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such a calculated, systematic scheme to defraud a spouse. You married this woman with the intention of stealing everything she had. You exploited her pregnancy. You forged her signature. You took out life insurance that suggests you were prepared for her death. She shook her head. I hope the criminal courts give you the full punishment you deserve. This court has done everything within its power. Your marriage is dissolved. Your assets are forfeited. And I am referring the life insurance matter to law enforcement for further investigation. The gavel fell. I was free. Sharon squeezed my hand under the table. You did it, she whispered. No, I said. We did it. I looked around the courtroom, at my aunt in the gallery, at the empty chair where Elena would have sat if she could have been there, at the judge who had seen through Vincent's lies. None of this would have happened if I had stayed silent, if I had signed that last document, if I had given up. But I didn't give up. And now I had everything back. My house, my assets, my freedom. And in a few days I would have something else, something Vincent could never touch. My daughter. The one I had fought for before she was even born. The one who had kicked me every time I needed courage. The one who was waiting to meet the mother who never stopped fighting. Grace came into the world on a Tuesday morning. I woke up at 3 a.m. with contractions. Aunt Ruby drove me to the hospital. By sunrise, I was in labor and delivery, surrounded by nurses and doctors who had been briefed on my situation. Dr. Washington was there. She had arranged to be on call when my due date approached. She held my hand during the worst of the contractions. You're doing great, she kept saying. Almost there. Almost there. The labor was long. 12 hours of pain and pushing, and moments where I thought I couldn't do it anymore. But then, at 3:17 in the afternoon, I heard the most beautiful sound in the world. My daughter's first cry. They placed her on my chest. This tiny, perfect screaming human being, the person I had fought so hard to protect. Hi, Grace, I whispered through my tears. I'm your mama, and I have been waiting my whole life for you. She stopped crying, looked up at me with those dark, knowing eyes, like she recognized my voice, like she remembered all those months of listening to my heartbeat. We stayed like that for a long time, just the two of us. The world outside didn't exist anymore. Aunt Ruby came in later, held Grace for the first time, cried harder than I had ever seen her cry. She looks like your grandmother, Aunt Ruby said. Same eyes, same stubborn little chin. I knew what she meant. I could see it too. Some echo of the woman who had raised me, the woman who had protected me even after death. Grace had her great-grandmother's spirit. I could feel it already. In the days that followed, people came to visit. Monica flew in from Chicago, held Grace and cried and told me she was proud of me. Dr. Washington stopped by, brought flowers and a stuffed elephant, told me I was one of the strongest patients she had ever had. Keisha came with a basket of baby supplies, practical things I would need for the first few weeks. Sharon brought the final paperwork. The divorce was finalized. The assets were officially mine. The criminal case was proceeding. And Elena came. She had driven down from Minnesota, wanted to meet the woman she had helped save, wanted to see the baby who had been worth fighting for. We sat together in my hospital room, Grace sleeping between us. "I never thought I would see him face consequences," Elena said quietly. "When I left, I thought he would just keep doing this forever, finding new women, destroying their lives, getting away with it." "He's not getting away with it anymore," I said. Elena smiled. A real smile, maybe the first one in years. "No, he's not. Because of you. Because of us," I corrected. "I couldn't have done this without your testimony, without knowing I wasn't crazy, without knowing there was a pattern." Elena reached out and touched Grace's tiny hand. "Protect her," she said. "Raise her to be strong. Raise her to never let anyone take her power away. I will. I promised. I will." The first few months of motherhood were hard. I was alone, tired, learning everything for the first time. There were nights when I cried from exhaustion, days when I wasn't sure I could do it. But I kept going, the same way I had kept going through everything else, and slowly things got easier. I moved back into my house, the house my grandmother's money had paid for, the house I had fought to keep. I painted the walls, decorated the nursery, made it mine again. I went back to work, not full-time at first, just consulting, using my CPA skills to help other women in financial trouble. Women going through divorces, women who had been exploited the way I had been. Sharon sent me clients. Dr. Washington sent me clients. Word spread. The forensic accountant who had beaten her own husband at his own game, the CPA who kept receipts. Monica and I stayed close. She would call every week to check on me. Every month she would fly down to visit. "We're the Survivors Club," she joked once. Membership growing. She wasn't wrong. A year after Grace was born, I got a call from the district attorney. Vincent had been convicted. Fraud, forgery, wire fraud, bank fraud, attempted insurance fraud. The judge sentenced him to 8 years in federal prison. I was in the kitchen when I heard the news. Grace was in her high chair eating mashed peas and making a mess. I hung up the phone and sat down at the table. 8 years. He would be in prison until Grace was in elementary school, until I had built a whole new life, until everything he had done was ancient history. It wasn't enough. No sentence would ever be enough for what he had put me through, but it was something. It was justice. It was proof that what he did mattered, that there were consequences. Grace threw a spoonful of peas at me. I laughed, wiped my face, picked her up out of the chair. "Your father is going to prison," I told her. "Not that it matters. He was never really your father anyway. Not in any way that counts." She babbled somethings in baby talk, grabbed my nose. I kissed her forehead. "It's just us now," I said, "and we're going to be okay. Better than okay. We're going to be amazing." She smiled. That toothless baby smile that made everything worth it. And for the first time in years, I believed it. A year later, I sat on my porch in the evening light. Grace was asleep inside, the baby monitor on the table next to me. I had a cup of tea in my hand, my grandmother's favorite, the same kind she used to make for me when I was a little girl. So much had changed since the day I signed those documents. I had been broke. Now I was financially stable. I had been alone. Now I had a community. I had been powerless. Now I had strength I never knew I possessed. I thought about all the women watching this, all the women in situations like mine, the ones who were still trapped, the ones who didn't know how to get out. I wished I could talk to each of them personally, hold their hands, tell them what I know now. So let me say this. If you are being manipulated by someone you love, if someone is controlling your money, if someone is isolating you from everyone who cares about you, if someone is making you sign things you don't understand, you are not crazy, you are not paranoid, you are not being dramatic, you are being abused, and you can get out. I know it feels impossible. I know it feels like there's no way forward. I know he's convinced you that you're nothing without him, that no one will believe you, that you have nowhere to go. He's lying. You have more power than you know. You have more options than you can see. You have more people who want to help than you realize. Start small. Document everything. Photograph every document before you sign it. Keep records. Build your evidence. Reach out to someone, anyone, a friend, a family member, a doctor, a social worker, a lawyer. There are people who specialize in helping women like us, people who have seen every trick and know how to fight back. And most importantly, remember who you are. You are not just someone's wife. You are not just someone's victim. You are not just someone's mark. You are a whole person with skills and strengths and value that no one can take from you unless you let them. I let Vincent take too much from me. I let him convince me that I was nothing without him. I let him sign away my independence piece by piece, but I took it all back. Every asset he stole, every document he forged, every lie he told, I used them all against him, and now he's in prison, and I'm free. That could be you. It should be you. You deserve safety. You deserve peace. You deserve a life where no one is trying to destroy you. And if you have children or if you're pregnant like I was, they deserve a mother who is whole, a mother who is strong, a mother who shows them what it means to fight for yourself. My daughter Grace is 2 years old now. She is the light of my life, the reason I wake up every morning, the reason I refuse to give up even when everything seemed hopeless. She will grow up knowing her mother was a fighter, knowing that women don't have to be victims, knowing that there is always a way out even when you can't see it. That's the legacy I want to leave, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as a warrior who kept receipts. Vincent thought he could take everything from me. He was wrong. I took everything back. And I kept the most important thing of all, myself. My name is Destiny Brooks. I was forced to sign away my life while pregnant with my daughter, but I got it all back. Every penny, every asset, every piece of my dignity. And my husband, he got exactly what he deserved. 8 years in a federal prison cell to think about what he did. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something. You are not alone. You are not trapped. You are stronger than you know. And when you're ready to fight, there are people waiting to fight alongside you. I was one of them. Now there are more. We're building an army of women who refuse to be destroyed, and we're winning. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for believing that women deserve better than what men like Vincent try to give us. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and always, always keep your receipts. This is Destiny Brooks signing off.